clinically we all know is relevant in the context of depression is to assess for suicidal thinking.
Okay.
And one of the things that we've written about is that suicidal thinking can also take the form of images as well as words. And there's a few studies now that find that suicidal thinking can be associated with what we've called suicidal flash forwards, so perhaps simulations associated with suicidal acts or their aftermath. So I guess this is more a clinical part, again, just strengthening our toolkit, doing all the good things we already do, all the protocols we have to follow, which is very, very important. But an additional form of information might be to ask a patient if they can see in their mind's eye and if they imagine suicidal acts or their aftermath, because this is also an important source of information.
Wow. As soon as you said that word, what did you say? Like imaginal rehearsal or?
Yeah, imaginal rehearsal. So we coined the term suicidal flash forwards because they can be so vivid, a bit like flashbacks in PTSD, but suicidal flash forwards to an event where people might rehearse what a plan might be and what's in it. And I think from an imagery basic mechanisms point of view, that's quite important because we know that imagining can be associated with acting on something more. So that kind of information might be really useful to a clinician.
Goodness. Yes, indeed. I get a flash of fear when I hear you describe the patient who's actually imagining and rehearsing in his mind and has or her mind a visual image of carrying out an act of suicide or the aftermath, which is another good thing to think about. So that is a beautiful immediate implication for clinicians of something they can assess when they have a depressed patient, a suicidal patient in their office to assess imagery.
I guess we often say to people, do you have any thoughts and plans? But I guess the sort of thing one could say would be if you do have plans, do you ever see in your mind's eye what that plan would look like? Can you tell me what it's like? Do you have, tell me what you see. If I was a film director, what would I see? What would I see in your head? So not to ask leading questions ever, but just simply to get a bit more detail, because if you don't ask about images, sometimes people don't tell you, because when we ask about thoughts, the word thoughts often just means language, like the way you and I are talking now, Jackie. So it just gives an extra source of information that's really important to weigh in the choice you make with the patient about what to then do.